Inspire and motivate. The art of mastery. Our guest is Klaus Yohannas, the curator of Black Vikings, who is currently mastering his 7 sagas, the endurance of hardship. This is now his life mission to complete those 7 sagas. Firstly, we questioned him on his humble beginnings as a poet known as Misery's Child.
Obviously Misery's Child was when I was doing the poetry, the open mics, the rapping, and I did that for a while. And, like people obviously thought it was a dark name, but generally when I say misery, the idea always came from the fact that I found out that obviously I couldn't have kids, and the doctor told me, I found out pretty early in my life, that I couldn't.
How old was you when you found out?
In my 20s, early 20s, and I basically, the problem when learning that is that, like you enter a relationship with a woman, you can't tell them that, that pretty much deads the relationship right there and then. So I had to be smart, and obviously I struggled with that, and I felt that mixed in with other things that happened in my life, and obviously I felt like, I don't know, I felt like my name must have been company because misery loved me,
Yeah.
So I gave myself that name, and generally.
What is that feeling? Someone that doesn't know that feeling of being told something like that. What would you tell someone? How would you uplift someone? How would you motivate them?
Well, this is the thing, you've got to. The thing is, the problem with that is that obviously, if you look at what defines a man, like what makes a man, and that question is more relevant today than probably at any other time in our history, because the lines are so divided now, it's so blurry, so confusing. But what makes a man? And generally we could say forget provider, protector, forget all that, but the quintessential thing of a man is to procreate, bring on the seed into the female and be able to, so the female gives birth and so on. And so obviously when you can't do that, well, that's a big shot to what you perceive your manhood to be. Now you have to redefine yourself, because if you don't redefine yourself, well, then you're just a failure, and you can't live life as a failure. So you have to find a way of recreating, somehow reinventing what it means to be a man.
So how would you go through it? How would you reinvent?
Through trial and error. Part of it was me going through the misery's child, and embracing the darkness that came with it, the anger and all of that stuff, which also, one night I was arrested for all this stuff, and obviously that side of it wasn't away. And I found that out through trial and error. And then Black Vikings was another way, of me creating. Yes, yeah. Slowly, but very slowly. We're talking a period of maybe 2 decades, about 20, 25 years, so slowly. But, and I'm not saying it's finished. That Black Vikings is changing now. And that's the point. Life is organic. I am organic. It will change. So Misery's Child, you also, you was a poet as well. Yeah.
I heard so much of your poetry. I remember the one that I heard, I think I came to an open mic, and I think it was Time Traveler.
Yeah.
That was really good, and you kind of, your storytelling. His art for storytelling and poetry is mesmerizing as well as captivating. We asked his process. It was. How do you? What's that process? Is that all from the heart? And you.
Obviously, I wasn't born or raised here, and I wasn't born or raised speaking English. There was another. I came here, and so when I came here in 1990, I didn't speak the language. Also, I have a complicated relationship. Well, I had a complicated relationship with my father, and so I was dealing with all of that, not being able to speak the language, and then issues within my mum's family. So just a lot of stuff. And I just found the one thing that I like to do more than anything was like with my sister, we would draw, you know?
Yeah.
And when I say we would draw because we didn't have toys, you know? When we came here, we had nothing.
Yeah.
Like we had a mattress on the floor, a TV on the floor, and then we were robbed and they took that.
Yeah.
You know, so literally we had nothing. And what we would do, we would draw on pieces of paper and then we'll get scissors, we'll cut the figurines out and then we'll play with those, you know? And so like when, and so paper just kind of like became my thing. We were either drawing or like games, we will play games where we will, you know, And then naturally I just started writing. Initially it was in Italian and just stories. And then eventually, as I learned English, they became in English. And generally, to be honest, it was a way, to escape. You write a story and you can travel with it. You do a drawing and, you travel with that, wherever that thought takes you. So, yeah.
Poetry is an expression of feelings and ideas given intensity by the use of distinctive style. We asked the Black Viking about a poem he performed and distributed about his friends and family. We asked what he was going through during that time. That's the right word. You just went through it. What was your mind frame?
Basically, it all stems from one woman, basically, like most things do in my life, anyway.
Heartbreak.
Yeah. Like to be honest, bro, women are the key instigator to anything I do in my life. Like anything negative, like this thing that I did, that I created. This, I think the track was called 300 Bars and Gunning, and basically it was just me rapping, rhyming continuously for 20 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes.
Non-stop. Non-stop. And I did that in one take, recorded that in Fortress Studio, and I was
nothing written, or it was written and you had your...
No, it was written, but basically it was all memorized. I went in there into the studio, and I didn't have pieces of paper. Basically, it was just all in my head, and it all came out, like literally regurgitated it.
Now talking about it and remembering it, do you would you say regret? Wouldn't use the word regret, but would you?
That's the thing, like part of me, I regret like things associated with it. For example, like I don't know if you remember the cover.
Yeah.
I regret that.
Sorry. That was crazy. Just now you remember. That's crazy. Yeah.
I regret that.
Yeah.
I regret the cover because I think I was angry. That's my problem. The problem is, like when I get angry, I'm a passionate person. When I love with all my heart. When I hate, I hate with all my heart. So like at the time, I just wanted to punish these people who I perceived, had done me wrong.
Your enemies or your
I perceived them. I perceived them as they attacked me. So it's only fair for me to retaliate, and I did. But although like I've realized now, looking back obviously after so many years, like I don't regret the way I did it, because to be honest, out of something like that they did, what I done, I retaliated in a creative way, Like I didn't, I didn't go and beat up anyone, I didn't stab anyone, I reacted in a creative way. But what I do regret is obviously that cover, which I think impacted her life, in a bad way. And that I regret, and I've explained to her since then anyway.
Was you able to speak to them? Was you able to
I cleared it up with her, with the one who instigated everything. I cleared it up with her and I explained, that I was sorry, but I was just hurt by what she done to me, but I acknowledged that wasn't the best way to react. But I mean, and the thing is, like when I was doing this, there were so many people in my corner telling me, this is not the best thing to do, don't do this. But the thing is, I'm stubborn, man, like...
I mean, I think that's what mastery is, right? Like you're learning from your mistakes.
Yeah, but I think and I think the point is like, and people would say, see, but being stubborn is a bad thing, and it is within this scenario. But I mean, being stubborn, also took me through the crucifixion march. Yeah. It took me through other, for 4 years I trained outside in the cold, in the snow, rain, whatever weather.
Let's talk about that. You're talking about Black Vikings.
Yes, no, Black Viking.
Yeah. So how did that start? How How did you?
It was, you know, like, so off the back of obviously all of the 300 bars and gunning, then after that I was homeless for a while, you know, and that kind of, it was messed up and everything. Then eventually, what did I do? I got a flat. That was around 2011. Got myself a flat, and I just kind of like, it was just basic, but I had my books, and I started just, you know, training equipment, training at home. And then a woman came into my life, you know, another woman. And she, I don't know, she just inspired me I wanted to get into fitness for a long time, you know. And so basically, anyway, she paid for me to go and do the course, you know, which I couldn't have done because I just didn't have the money. And so she paid for it. I got the certificate, and I started working in a gym for free, for about 6 months for free, absolutely.
Let's go there as well. Let's talk about the hardship that you went through. That piece where no electricity, no home. Let's talk about it. I don't think people understand the mind frame of being in that situation. How would you explain? How would you tell someone how to overcome it?
Look, you know, like there's, I've always said there's that human beings in general, human beings can put up with anything, you know, can put up with all manner of suffering, you know, like you only need to look through history, wherever country, whatever land, they can put up with amazing amount of suffering. But what they can't stomach, not even for a second, is to suffer without meaning, you know, with no meaning attached to it. That is unbearable for anyone, you know, and generally when people get to that point, that's when you hear suicide, alcoholism, and all these things, because it's just, you can't. There has to be some kind of meaning, you know, behind it, attached. So if you're suffering through life, and most people are, because life is suffering, you know, like, and that's not a bad thing, but life is suffering. And if you don't want to suffer, then you shouldn't be alive, because you're going to suffer at one point. So the only choice really is to attach meaning to it. So the question is not to avoid suffering. The question is to find meaning, you know. And meaning is, what is your meaning, your purpose to get up in the morning, you know, and go and do whatever you do, you know. Some people is their children, and that's fine, because I guarantee you that person who has this child will do whatever in their power, you know, and with a smile on his face for that child, because that's the meaning. But if you don't have that, and I can't have children, so what do? You know, you have to create your own, because in life really there is no meaning. There is no meaning in life other than the one that you create for yourself. You know, meaning for my mum and my mum's generation, it was God. You know, so but arguably,
what's the meaning of life for you? What is the meaning?
For me, literally, to be honest, for now, my meaning has been the sagas. You know, the 7 sagas, pursuing them. It's to just, to see them through and to conquer, you know, through struggle, you know, so to just
those 7 sagas. If you can tell us the first saga, what was the first saga?
The first saga is the Death March.
Yes.
Each saga consists of 3 attempts. The first saga was the Death March, which started on Christmas Day.
Was that a 60 kg?
Well, it started with a sandbag. So it started with a sandbag 3 years ago on Christmas Day at 8 a.m. with a 40 kilo sandbag. Then the following Christmas, it became a 60 kilo sandbag. And then Easter on Good Friday, the following Easter, it became the crucifix, 60 kilo. And the whole point of 3 attempts is it's a discovery that I made when I was doing my cold baths. So when I was doing my cold baths, I noticed that I would fill the water, you know, to the brim, you know. But I would rarely, in the beginning, just step in. What I would do is dip my toe, you know, splash some water, and then finally I would go in. So almost like I'm easing myself into it. And that's the point. Human beings crave security and comfort. but nothing comes from security and comfort. So I said, okay, so if every attempt, if the first one I'm cautious, and the second one I'm a little brave, more brave, and then the third one I go all out, well then every saga must be done 3 times to ease me into the point where, you know, like almost where the body has not yet broken, but the mind, you know, is growing.
Yeah.
But it's a very fine line.
Yo, I don't need a coach. I don't need advice.